Hello, everybody. As you can see, I have help today.
Then we had a Riley in the courtroom, if we're ready on Riley. All right, so on Riley, Ms. Riley, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Brianna Marie Riley, 2021 CR 08036 for criminal trespass. You're represented by attorney Chelsea Hahn, who's with you at the podium. Ms. Hahn, what does your client plead to the offense before the court?
Nolo, Your Honor.
All right, by entering a plea of nolo, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Ms. Riley?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
All right. Factual basis recommendation, please.
Your Honor. The factual basis in this case is that on November 2nd, 2020, Officer Joseph responded to court here in Clayton County reference to a domestic disturbance. Upon arrival, the officer made contact with Kendrick Martin, Kendrik. Martin spelled common. He advised that the defendant was the mother of his child and they hadn't been on good terms recently, and she had moved out of her own free will a couple of weeks ago. However, when he asked her to bring his car back that he lent her, she dropped it off at the incident location, and was very angry. She demanded that he bring out their daughter so that she could leave with her. However, there was a pending defacts case at the time that provided him the right to deny her taking the children due to prior alcohol and drug related allegations. And so because he said he wasn't going to let her take their daughter, she got even more angry, grabbed a kitchen knife and slashed the front right tire of his other vehicle. The state's recommendation in this case, 12 months, 1 day to serve, credit for time served, balance to be probated, for her to pay a $200 fine, take an anger management course, have no drugs and alcohol, and be subject to random screening while she's on probation. No violent contact with Mr. Martin. But I will note for the record, I'm not entirely sure the status of it. There is a pending felony with the same victim, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know the status of the bond condition, so I just wanted to make sure that she's aware. You're still muted, Jay.
Your Honor,
Guilty. The plea is guilty, Ms. Hahn.
is the court unwilling to accept a nolo plea?
Got a lot going on, Ms. Hahn.
She does, Your Honor.
I mean, I'll take the nolo.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
What's going on with Ms. Riley?
Your Honor, I think that was just a kind of tumultuous time in her life. I know she did mention to me that the pending felony, at least to her understanding, I think it's just a theft. It's not anything violent to her understanding, and I haven't looked up to see exactly what is pending as far as felonies, because I think it's in a different county. But nevertheless,
It's here. It's a damage to property.
Oh.
All right, Ms. Riley.
Yes, ma'am.
So a criminal damage to property, for it to be a felony, has to be over $2,500 in damage, unless they change the statute. Yeah, don't talk anymore. What I want you to understand is every time you get mad about something, you can't pick up a knife and slash a tire or break something or throw something, because you got kids and something has to be more important than your anger. Your time with your kids and getting back into a good relationship with your kids has to be more important than you showing out and acting crazy. How old are you?
I'm 26.
20 what?
26.
So, how old are your kids?
I have a 4-year-old. I'm sorry, a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
So you're just having kids back to back to back to back. You just, every time you turn around, every time you blink, you pregnant. Ma'am, that's stressful. Number one. Number two, you don't have time to give each of those kids time. You think you got stress. I mean, defects is involved because you're having kids under a less than optimal situation. I'm gonna need whoever that is to mute your device. Number one, you having them back to back to back to back. You're not even giving your kids time to have time with a mama, because there's another kid coming before they can even have time with you. That's not fair to them. And number two, every time you have sex, you don't have to have a baby. You need to bring children in. It is not fair for us as adults to bring children into situations that are chaotic, violent, unstable, because all you're doing is creating people who have problems when they grow up. They have problems when they're kids. I mean, you literally have what they call stair step. You don't even have a step between them. Boom, 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 boom. Every time you turn around, you're pregnant. Baby, there are ways not to do that. How you gonna get on your feet and be stable if every time you turn around, you add another baby to the mix? Is there any plan to ever be stable?
Yes.
Okay, well, what's the plan? Because you can't activate a plan if you still having babies. And I'm not saying babies aren't a blessing, but we're supposed to be a blessing to them. We don't depend on babies to help us. We're supposed to make their lives better because they don't choose to be here. We make them. We make choices that result in babies. So when you make those choices that result in babies, if your babies aren't with you, if they aren't well cared for, if you don't know exactly what's going on with each of your babies each and every day, if you're not holding them when they got the sniffles and when they need the comfort of a mother, they are missing your smell. They can't even nuzzle up to you to smell you because your life is so chaotic. Somebody else has your babies, then you're not doing it right. And I'm just going to be, I know people think I'm a little harsh sometimes, but somebody's got to stop and think about the situation they are bringing kids into. You got kids back to back to back to back to back, and none of those kids have had the opportunity to have their mama to themselves for more than 3 months. If that, because now somebody else is taking care of them. And I'm going to tell you, I've been in this game too long. I'm telling you right now, if you a mama and you don't lay your eyes on your children every single day, there is no way you can assure yourself that people are taking care of them. I've seen too much. I've heard too much. Even the people you trust the most, some of them don't take care of your kids the way they should be cared for. So if they're not with you every single day, if there's any time apart from them that you've caused to happen, you're risking their safety. So I just want you to think about that. You don't have to have a baby with every man you see, date, live with. You don't have to have a baby every year. You can get your life stable and make sure you have a home, some stability for those babies, and space them out so they at least get to be nurtured before you bring in the next one and they get pushed to the side. You don't have to respond to what I'm saying because I know I'm hard. I'm hard on people. You don't have to respond to what I'm saying. But what I'm saying to you is you need to think about the situation you're putting your kids in. And the initial knee-jerk reaction is, I've taken care of my kids. This judge don't know me. I don't. But what I'm telling you is you ain't giving them babies time to know you either. So I will accept your plea of guilty. I'll accept your plea of NOLO because you seem like you need a break right now. I'll give you the NOLO plea. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 1 day credit for time served. The balance will be probated for you to pay a fine in the amount of $200. That's going to be $298 with the surcharges. And she's going to take an anger management class. Instead of the $200 fine, I would prefer she take a parenting class also.
No, we have no objection from the state, Your Honor.
Is that acceptable?
That's fine, Your Honor.
All right. So then that might help you with whatever situation was going on or is going on with defects. Because I have found, I used to work with them. I used to work for defects. But once they get into your situation, it's hard to get them out. Once defects gets your name on their roster, it's hard to get them out. So instead of the $200 fine, you're going to take a parenting class, anger management class, and you're to have no drugs or alcohol. You're subject to random screens for alcohol and drugs, and you're to have no you're to have no contact that violates your bond conditions in your felony case. So if you have bond conditions in your felony case that say you're to not have contact with Mr. Forget his name, I'm sorry.
Mr. Martin, Kendrick Martin.
Yeah, whatever contact you have must comport with your felony bond. So if your felony case says you're not to have any contact with him, you're not to have any contact. And I would suggest you get a copy of that bond today. But at a minimum, you're not to have any violent or harassing contact. If it's a no contact order for the felony case, then you better not have any contact with him. Because if you do, you could be charged with additional misdemeanors or felonies. You could have your bond revoked and you could stay in jail in the Clayton County Jail, which is no place to be right now. You could stay in jail until your case comes to trial. And if it's a felony, that could be some years. Tell her what I mean, Ms. Hahn.
I will, Your Honor.
All right.
We do have one additional request, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
We understand that she has this pending felony, but Ms. Riley was asking that if she is successful on probation with no positive screens and completes the anger management course and the parenting course, that at 6 months, we review whether or not she can go non-reporting.
Yeah, she can, her probation officer can ask me for a review.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. All right, Miss Riley, your most important job, no matter what else you do in life, is to raise them babies so that they don't struggle. So remember that. There's condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. If I see you again ever, please don't have 4 more babies. Give them babies a break. Let them enjoy having a mama before you start loading up again. Yes, ma'am.
I did have one more request. I'm sorry. She's asking that the supervision fees be waived. She makes about $13 an hour. So we're asking.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Waive the supervision fees. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh man, nothing that judge said was wrong. She told not one lie. Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.